Tonight on Skyline, the American tech dream, it is starting to look terrifying even for the highly skilled workers. Oracle is cutting 30,000 jobs while handing its new CFO a $26 million stock package. Meta is quietly removing managers and replacing old workplace structures with AI-focused system. In fact, Silicon Valley workers, they are applying for hundreds of jobs without getting hired. In the meantime, immigrants who once believed that America guaranteed stability, they are now questioning everything. Tonight, the reality feels completely different. AI is changing hiring. Layoffs are becoming permanent, companies are rewarding top executives, while thousands lose their jobs overnight. And workers are beginning to realize something deeply uncomfortable. In the AI era, nobody inside tech feels fully safe anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Driti Atri, and tonight we break down 8 explosive stories exposing the brutal new reality inside America's tech industry. In the first segment, imagine waking up at 6 a.m. and opening an email that ends your career. Years of work gone in minutes. Well, that is the nightmare thousands of Oracle employees they are reportedly facing tonight after one of the largest tech layoffs in recent memory. Oracle has reportedly cut 30,000 jobs globally. But you know what shocked people even more was what happened next. Days after the layoff, Oracle handed its incoming CFO, Hilary Maxson, a compensation package worth nearly $26 million in stock awards. And instantly, outrage exploded online. Workers losing jobs, executives getting massive rewards. Well, the contrast that became symbolic of something much bigger that is happening inside corporate America. According to filings, Oracle's new CFO will receive a base salary of nearly $950,000, performance bonuses targeting millions more, relocating support, and stock grants valued around $26 million. Well, the package reportedly includes both stock options and restricted stock units vesting over multiple years. In the meantime, well, guess what? Thousands of ordinary employees suddenly found themselves unemployed, and that too during one of the toughest tech job markets in recent years. Some reportedly lost not only salaries but also stock options that they spent years building towards. You know, that emotional part that matters a lot in tech culture, because many employees they accept lower immediate cash compensation, believing that long-term stock rewards it will eventually secure their future. Now, here's what makes this story even more dramatic. Oracle is not collapsing financially. In fact, the company is growing aggressively because of AI infrastructure demand. Oracle's cloud and AI businesses are expanding rapidly. In fact, the company is investing heavily in data centers and enterprise AI systems. Here, analysts say that Oracle's hiring of the new CFO, well, it signals that the company is kind of prioritizing infrastructure expansion, and that too during the AI boom. Yet, even profitable companies are aggressively cutting workers to improve efficiency, simplify the structure, and satisfy Wall Street expectation. And tonight, workers everywhere they are noticing a very painful new reality of the AI era. Companies may no longer prioritize loyalty, experience, or long-term employee stability. Increasingly, they prioritize shareholder confidence, automation, AI expansion, and leaner operations. Well, for the Indian tech workers specifically, stories like this, it creates deep anxiety because many immigrants built their entire lives around big tech stability. Right? Suddenly, even giant companies, they no longer feel emotionally safe. And workers are now asking a frightening question. If profitable companies are cutting jobs this aggressively, what happens when the economy actually slows down? And you know, while Oracle cuts tens of thousands of jobs, another tech giant is now quietly transforming managers into ordinary workers during its AI reconstructing. We are talking about Meta here. Right, Meta is now doing something that would have sounded unthinkable a few years ago. The company is reportedly taking engineering managers, people who supervise team, handle strategy and managed employees. They are now moving some of them back into ordinary, coding focused roles known as individual contributors or ICs. Now let's pause here for a second and think about how dramatic that shift is inside corporate culture. In tech companies, becoming a manager, traditionally, it meant career growth, opportunity, authority, prestige, and maybe influence. Workers spent years trying to move upwards from coding roles into leadership positions. But now, Meta appears to be flattening its structure completely around AI. Well, reports suggest Meta is cutting about 8,000 jobs globally while simultaneously moving nearly 7,000 employees into AI focused jobs. In fact, some online discussions even claim manager to employee ratio they are becoming enormous, with few managers overseeing much larger technical team. Well, while Meta has not officially confirmed all the numbers circulating online, the broader reconstructing trend that's extremely real. And you know why is this happening? Because AI is changing what companies value the most. Earlier, companies focused heavily on management, less coordination, meeting, planning structure, internal hierarchy. But now, AI-driven companies increasingly want speed, faster product. In fact, smaller teams, more technical output. In the meantime, fewer layers between engineers and final product. Now, Meta's reconstructing reportedly includes a lot of things, including reducing middle management, increasing AI-focused engineering team, expanding technical execution role, and removing organizational complexity. Suddenly, companies care less about who manages the whole meeting and more about who can directly build AI products and systems. This has kind of triggered emotional reaction across Silicon Valley. Some workers say returning to IC role. It is not necessarily negative because senior engineers they can still earn extremely high salaries. But others see it as symbol of something deeper. Prove that traditional management itself may be losing importance inside AI-focused organizations. And tonight, workers everywhere they are quietly asking a frightening question. If AI can flatten management structure, how many traditional white-collar careers may eventually disappear too? Because what Meta is doing today, it could become the blueprint for the entire tech industry tomorrow. And yes, while Meta reorganizes itself around AI, thousands of experienced tech workers they are now struggling to find jobs at all, specifically Indians here. The mood inside Silicon Valley tonight that is changing dramatically. For years, skilled tech workers believed that they would always be employable. Strong resume, big company experience, management background, that usually guaranteed opportunity. But not anymore. Across California, laid off workers are describing today's tech job market with just one word: brutal. In fact, former Google manager, that person reportedly said that he has been unemployed for more than a year despite reaching final interview round repeatedly. He said the search has become exhausting emotionally and professionally too. In fact, another tech executive described being so emotionally devastated after layoffs that she kind of struggled to even get out of the bed afterwards. Now, think about how shocking that sounds in Silicon Valley, right? The place once seen as the safest career ecosystem on the planet Earth. According to layoffs.fyi, more than 108,000 tech workers have already lost their jobs this year. That number that is rapidly approaching last year's devastating layoff total. Major companies including Meta, Amazon, LinkedIn, PayPal, and others, they continue cutting workers while reconstructing around AI priorities. In fact, the Public Policy Institute of California also estimated that employment in the information sector declined dramatically between 2022 and 2026. Well, hiring growth across Silicon Valley, it has kind of slowed sharply as compared to the pre-pandemic year. But the deeper problem is this. Hiring itself has changed completely. Recruiters say that companies now want workers who can do multiple jobs all at once. Hiring circles stretch for months. Interview rounds are becoming exhausting. In fact, some firms reportedly take up to 6 months to finalize the permanent hiring decision. Salaries are declining while expectations too high. And AI is kind of reshaping priorities everywhere. Companies are aggressively competing for elite AI talent while reducing hiring in other departments. That means ordinary software engineers, recruiters, in fact, content team, middle managers, they are increasingly feeling vulnerable. Tonight, many laid off workers, they are leaving tech completely, accepting the low-paying jobs, returning to school, launching small businesses, or, sadly, relying heavily on networking group just to survive emotionally. In fact, one laid-off worker even created a hiking and networking community where unemployed tech professionals they exchange referrals, emotional support, and survival advice. That alone, it shows how psychologically exhausting the market really has become. And emotionally, the uncertainty that is crushing. Many workers no longer plan their future confidently. Instead, they live application to application, interview to interview, just hoping that something eventually would work out for them. And while ordinary workers they struggle to survive layoffs, another tech giant company it is now cutting thousands of jobs despite record profit and booming AI demand. One of the most important companies in the global semiconductor industries is cutting roughly about 2,000 jobs, even while posting record revenue. Synopsys, the world's largest electronic design automation company, is reconstructing after its massive $35 billion acquisition of Insysys. Now understand why this matters a lot. Well, Synopsys software, it helps design the world's most advanced computer chips, NVIDIA AI chips. In fact, Apple Silicon, advanced processor, AI escalator, semiconductor system used in data centers, smartphone, defense system, and cloud computing. In simple words, Synopsys, it sits at the center of AI revolution itself. And yet, even this company is aggressively cutting workers. The layoffs reportedly target the overlapping departments, middle management, duplicated regional team, IT structures, and administrative function created after the merger. Synopsys says that the whole cuts, they are part of organizational reduction and integration efficiency. But emotionally, workers see something much, much deeper that is happening. Because Synopsys, it is not financially weak. The company recently posted enormous growth revenue. Well, quarterly revenue, it reportedly surged more than 65% year over year after integrating. The company's market value remains above $100 billion. AI is exploding globally. Semiconductor competition is intensifying worldwide. Yet, despite all this growth, employees are still losing their jobs. And tonight, workers across the tech industries, they are noticing a very dangerous pattern. AI demand rise, company revenue rise, stock market rise, executive compensation, it rises. But worker security, it shrinks. Wall Street, it increasingly rewards efficiency above everything else. Investors want companies to operate with fewer employees, smaller management layers, and leaner operations, while AI tools improve the productivity. And this creates a lot of psychological pressure for the workers because even being inside a booming industry, their job, it is no longer guaranteed. And tonight, many tech workers are realizing something frightening here. In the AI era, companies may continue growing financially while simultaneously employees, they are not really needed in those companies. And while America's AI industry, it expands aggressively, immigrants chasing the American dreams, they are now finding the whole system itself becoming hard to survive. For years, India's Telugu-speaking students and tech workers, they saw America as the ultimate destination for stability and success. Families in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, they spent a lot of amount on education, on maybe visas, coaching centers, university admission, overseas loan, because Silicon Valley, it represented what? Opportunity. But tonight, many Telugu immigrants, they are feeling deeply shaken. According to reports, the Trump administration's immigration changes, it could force many green card applicants to leave the United States and complete the processing from abroad instead of remaining inside America through adjustment of status pathway. Now, just understand why this creates a lot of panic, specifically inside Telugu community. The Telugu-speaking population in America, it reportedly grew from about 3.2 lakh in 2016 to 12 lakh by 2024. Students from Andhra Pradesh and Telangana alone reportedly account for nearly 12.5% of Indian students in the US, and that's a lot. Entire communities built their future around America's tech economy. Entire families' financial plans depended on the H-1B pathway and green card stability. But today that certainty, it feels broken. Students fear layoffs, visa rejection, sponsorship collapse, in fact green card delay, deportation risk, sudden return to India after years abroad. And many families are already financially stretched because the US education, it costs a lot. Tuition fees, housing, visa expenses, and living costs often require family saving or maybe large loans from India. Well, immigration experts warn that the consequences, it extends far beyond paperwork. Researchers, engineers, doctors, scientists all can face disruption if they must suddenly leave the country during processing period. Companies may also hesitate to continue sponsorship if immigration pathway becomes too unpredictable. And emotionally, many immigrants now feel trapped between two realities here. Too invested in America to leave easily, but increasingly unsure whether America still wants them permanently or not. That emotional uncertainty, that is becoming one of the biggest psychological pressures inside immigrant communities today. And yes, while immigrants struggle with uncertainty, one Indian origin CEO is now revealing the emotional reality behind achieving the American dream itself. Tonight, the story of the Indian origin CEO, Anil Sharma, is inspiring thousands, but also revealing the brutal emotional reality behind immigrant success in America. Sharma, who arrived in the US as the first generation immigrant with just $100, he now leads a major government contracting company aiming for $1 billion in revenue. Well, on paper, this sounds like the perfect American dream story, right? But Sharma, he recently admitted something powerful during a speech to graduating students. He said that when he arrived in America, he had what? No roadmap, no guarantees, in fact, no safety net. And honestly, that sentence, that captured the immigrant life perfectly, because behind every successful immigrant stories, there are years of loneliness. In fact, years of uncertainty, years of long nights, years of visa pressure, financial struggle, fear of failure, pressure from families, expectations, constant competition. Here, Sharma told students that success is not where somebody starts from. It is about surviving uncertainty and contributing through pressure, self-doubt, failure, and difficult decisions. In fact, he also reminded the students that the future itself is changing rapidly because of AI, automation, and digital transformation. And that warning, it matters a lot tonight because even successful immigrants who achieved extraordinary success now openly admit the system, it feels unstable. In fact, earlier generation believed that hard work eventually guaranteed security. Today, even high achievers acknowledge the future feels unpredictable. Workers must adapt. They should work on the new skills so that they can be in the competition. And perhaps the most emotional part of Sharma's story is this. Despite becoming highly successful, he still remembers the years of instability in America. And that shows how deeply immigration pressure shapes people psychologically, even years later. And wait, while some immigrants still chase the American dream, others inside the big tech, they are now voluntarily walking out from it. That's right. Tonight, one former Meta employee is now going viral after doing something almost nobody expected. Julie Bone, well, the person who worked at Meta for 6 years, reportedly volunteered to be laid off during the company's reconstructing. Now think about how unusual that really sounds during a brutal tech job market. Well, most workers desperately want to keep stable employment. But Bone, she said something emotionally very powerful. Meta's future ambitions no longer aligned with her values or career direction. And the reason is deeply connected to AI. According to her, Meta is becoming increasingly AI first. Employees were reportedly expected to use the AI tools constantly for coding, prototyping, productivity, content system, and automation. The culture itself, it was changing rapidly. Bone explained that this was not an impulsive decision. She had already been thinking about leaving Meta long time back because she no longer emotionally connected with where the company was heading to. Well, she even hoped her departure, it might helped save another employee's position. Now pause here and think about what this really reveals about modern tech culture. For years working at Meta, Google, or maybe Amazon, that represented dream jobs globally. Huge salary, prestige, stock options, status, but now some workers are emotionally disconnected from the very industry. Because many fear creativity, editorial judgment, human expression, and traditional workforce culture, they are slowly being replaced by pure AI optimism. Bone specifically said that she wanted future roles where the creativity that still matters, human communication matters, cultural understanding matters, and editorial judgment that matters a lot. That emotional statement, it resonated widely online because many workers secretly feel the same anxiety every single day. And tonight, more tech workers, they are quietly asking themselves one single question. Is the AI improving work, or is it removing the human meaning from the work entirely? And yes, while AI changes workplace culture inside companies, it is also changing the emotional future of careers globally. Tonight, the biggest fear inside the tech industry may no longer be layoffs alone. The biggest fear is irrelevance, because AI is changing what companies value, how they hire, how they organize workers, and even what career growth really means anymore. Earlier, people believed that career success, it followed the predictable steps, right? Study hard, get experience, become manager, climb upwards very slowly, achieve the stability that you want. But AI is now disrupting that whole structure completely. Now, companies increasingly want the technical adaptability, AI fluency, smaller team, broader responsibility, faster execution, and fewer middle layers. So that really means even experienced workers feel pressure to constantly stay relevant. Some employees now fear that they are training AI systems that may eventually reduce the need for their role later. Others worry that younger workers with stronger AI skills may replace the older professional entirely. And emotionally, this creates exhaustion. Workers no longer feel that they can settle into stable career comfortably. Instead, many feel trapped in permanent survival mode. Learn new AI tools, stay employable, in fact, stay relevant in the company, adapt constantly, never slow down, because if you do, you'll be out. Tonight, Silicon Valley increasingly feels less like a stable professional ecosystem and more like a non-stop competition for relevance here. And that emotional consequences that are becoming severe: anxiety, burnout, career panic, identity crisis, because for many people, jobs are not only income. Jobs become identity, confidence, emotional stability. AI is now disrupting all three at once. And finally, after all these layoffs, reconstructing AI fear and immigration shock, one painful reality is becoming impossible to ignore. And now, the next story and the last one, it's not related to layoff, but it will definitely attract the tech lovers here. The question is, why Indians in the US, they are quietly returning to Android phones. Well, for years, the iPhone represented something emotional for Indians living in America. It was not just a smartphone, it became proof of success abroad. Now, for many immigrants, specifically the first generation Indians buying an iPhone after landing in America, it felt symbolic. It felt the struggle was finally paying off. Well, the latest iPhone, it became connected to achievement, stability, and fitting into American life. And honestly, America itself helped create that culture. According to StatCounter and Counterpoint Research, Apple now controls more than 60% of the US smartphone market. Now, that makes America one of the most iPhone dominated countries in the world. Blue eye message bubble, it became social status. FaceTime became normal, AirDrop, it became a work culture flaunting. Even dating and friend circles sometimes quietly judged people based on their phones. So naturally, many Indians entering corporate America, they kind of adapted to the same ecosystem. But now something very interesting is quietly changing. More Indians in America are slowly moving back towards Android phones. And the reason is much deeper than people really realize. This is not just a tech trend. This is an immigrant psychology story because the mindset of Indians in America, it is changing completely. Earlier, the focus was look successful, Now the focus is stay financially safe. And there's a very strong data that is supporting this particular shift. America's ecosystem is putting immigrants under a lot of pressure. Indian professionals in America may still earn high salaries on paper, but the financial pressure today, that is a lot. In fact, according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, average rent price in major US cities remain near sky high. Child care cost in America, it is now average of about $11,000 annually per child nationally. And it is far higher in tech-heavy cities. Healthcare premium continue rising yearly. Layoffs across technology sector affected hundreds of thousands of globally since 2023. Now combine that with H-1B insecurity, green card backlog, layoff, AI replacing some tech roles, rising mortgage rate and fear of deportation after job loss. Suddenly, many Indians, they are entering financial realism mode. Earlier, buying the newest iPhone every year, it felt normal. Today, spending $1,500 on a phone, it feels unnecessary, specifically when Android, it now offers almost everything at the lowest price. And Android, it is no longer cheap. 10 years ago, iPhone meant premium because Android, it was in budget. Today, that gap has collapsed. Samsung Galaxy Ultra phones, they now directly compete with iPhones on camera quality, video quality, battery life, AI integration, and the display. Google Pixel phones, they dominate the whole photography zone and AI-powered tool. OnePlus became extremely popular among Indian tech workers because it offers flagship-level speed without Apple pricing. Well, nothing phones became trendy among younger Indian professionals because of minimalistic designs and tech culture appeal. And here's the most important part. Many Android flagship phones, they cost hundreds of dollars less than iPhone. Now, for practical immigrant family, that difference, it matters a lot. This shift is also cultural. Indians naturally prefer flexibility with technology. Indians love customization and freedom. Android, it kind of fits Indian usage habit much better. Indians typically transfer files frequently, use APK apps, consume the downloaded content, use dual apps, customize setting heavily, multitasking basically, and switching between Indian and the US ecosystem constantly. Here, Android supports this whole lifestyle naturally. In the meantime, Apple's ecosystem feels cleaner, smoother, and more premium, but also more restricted, less flexible, and more controlled. Well, for many Indians, specifically engineers and developers, Android, it simply feels more powerful and practical. And here's the actual data supporting this preference. A 2025 Tech Radar survey, it found nearly 62% of tech-focused users, they prefer Android over iPhone because of customization, flexibility, openness, and productivity freedom. Well, Indians in America, they are heavily concentrated inside technology jobs, which makes this particular trend even more believable. In fact, AI is also quietly pushing people towards Android. Google and Samsung, they are moving extremely aggressively in the AI right now. Features like AI call screening, live translation, AI generated summaries, productivity integration, Gemini AI tool, and real-time captions, they are all becoming central to this selling point. So in the end, tech workers notice these features very quickly because many work directly inside AI-driven industry themselves. And according to the market report, Google Pixel's market share, it has been steadily growing in North America, specifically among younger professionals and software engineers. Many now care more about AI capacity, productivity, and integration than luxury branding alone. And honestly, the biggest reason of all is emotional too. Indians are quietly leaving show-off culture. Earlier, immigrant culture often involved visible success. Symbols like iPhone, Tesla, luxury apartment, designer brands, partly because immigrant wanted validation. Families back home expected proof that America was worth it. Social media increased that pressure, but now, though, that emotional mood, it has changed. Layoffs are everywhere, visa stress is everywhere, green card wait is around 10 to 15 years, AI fear is rising, and even high salaries are no longer feeling secure. So many Indians abroad, they are quietly becoming very conservative with money again. Well, instead of asking, how do I look successful? Well, they are now asking if I look stable or not. In the end, there is just one question. In the age of artificial intelligence, what happens to the human inside the whole system? I am Driti Atri, this was Skyline, and trust me, the AI revolution may transform human career faster than the world is emotionally prepared for.